but I couldn't get out of the car. And I was sitting there taking notes during this, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was as if he was channeling Alex Jones. And let me tell you something. If Rush Limbaugh sounds like Alex Jones, we are really starting to turn the corner. And, of course, I've been critical of Rush defending Bush and his illegal wars and torture. And I've said that Rush is a hypocrite, saying that somebody who's caught with cocaine should serve the minimum 10-year sentence, but he's caught with hillbilly heroin, Oxycontin, and I don't think Rush should go to jail. I think he should get treatment. You know, Rush hurt his back. And a lot of people get addicted to that stuff. Thank God I've never got anywhere near addicted. I had a broken leg, compound fracture, and I have an allergic response. I vomit when I take opiates, so I can't imagine people who like that stuff, but they shouldn't go to prison. You know, I've known people who've been in car wrecks, old people, friends of mine, who are straight-laced, who get addicted when they're in a car wreck. I mean, you break your back or something, but the point is, he says put people in prison when they use drugs that are illegal, but then he's shopping doctors for drugs. But the point is, I got to salute Limbaugh. Stay with us. All right, we're back live. I want to get into our top story. And it's not just Limbaugh. This morning, I saw a video clip, 9 minutes long, of Glenn Beck saying everything goes back to Goldman Sachs. He admitted they're not free market, that they're criminal, that they're controlled by the private Federal Reserve, and that they're imploding the economy by design. Then I'm driving in to do this radio show, listening to Rush Limbaugh, and he says there is a secret, and I have the transcript right here from rushlimbaugh.com. He says there is basically a secret robber baron class that is not free market, that hates the middle class and hates new money, and who are a clique and who only promote each other. He zeroes in on Harvard, which I've noticed is where most of these elitists come from, and how they control the Republican Party as well as the Democratic Party. And then he quoted Trent Lott, the lobbyist, the former senator, talking about how they've got to co-opt the Tea Party, how they've got to go in and destroy Rand Paul, how they've got to block the American people from getting control of Washington. And that's why no matter who gets into office, what president comes or goes, government gets bigger, taxes go up, we lose more of our freedoms. And so this is a big issue because Limbaugh has always basically acted like any big corporation is okay, the big mega banks are good, and that the Democrats are just a bunch of communists, when they're not. They're a bunch of social engineers seizing control of society. And he goes on to say these people got their money from the old money, inherited from the robber barons of the past, the great wealth. The people who inherit it don't do anything for it, but it is the great lineage. People who have earned great wealth rather than having inherited it are shunned by the old money people because it's working class to have earned money. It's just not done. It's considered bad. It's considered filthy, gauche. And it's much the same way with merit throughout the ruling class. You don't have to be the best. In fact, if you do the right things and say the right things, you can be an abject failure of mediocrity-wise and still be promoted. And he went on and on and on and on and said these people want to destroy America. They want to consolidate power. He said they're a tiny minority of just a few percentage points based in D.C. and New York. I mean, Rush Limbaugh was telling the truth. And sure, he tells the truth about the Second Amendment or property rights. He's good on a lot of things. But when Bush was ordering the torture of people, he was defending it. And so I've criticized Rush Limbaugh, but the fact that he's having to come out and tell the truth, the fact that Glenn Beck is admitting that Goldman Sachs is a criminal enterprise and the Federal Reserve is private, that shows how mainstream this information has become. I have forced Glenn Beck, and you, the listeners, have forced Glenn Beck to tell the truth, to have any pertinence, to be relevant in any way, and they have pushed people like Rush Limbaugh to come out and tell the truth. And, of course, Limbaugh is quoting an article out of the American Spectator magazine this month America's ruling class and the perils of revolution. And the way Limbaugh describes it is the ruling class versus the country class, the people of the country. And he says this ruling class doesn't like America. It hates America. It wants to end the United States. It wants to end the free market. What did the founder of the Rockefeller dynasty say? John D. I. He said, competition is a sin. They make their money through monopolies. They make their money through control of society. And folks, 15 years ago, I'd get on talk radio and talk about the Federal Reserve being private and how central banks were issuing derivatives, and people looked at me like I had 10 heads. Now, in the last 10 years, that started changing, and now that is not the case. Now, this radio show is listened to by millions of people a day. I have 8 different YouTube channels. One channel alone has 56 million views. 56 million people have watched the videos. If you count all the other channels up and my other films online, just on YouTube, it is over 150 million. 150 million people have watched my videos. And that's all in the last 2 years. That's why last week you saw the Obama deception taken down by YouTube. And they've never done this before. They took the video down and then they restored it when I went absolutely ape. Sunday, you went absolutely ape, and you made the Obama deception censored the #1 search term. And then on Monday, we made another term, Google censors, because they were caught censoring that, the #1 term. Then we made Google spies the #1 term. Then we made Google cover-up the #1 term. Then we made another term the #1 term, dominating the internet, not just on Google, but on Yahoo. And guess what happened by Thursday? Google stopped censoring us when we were the #1 search term. They just left it alone. And then we were the #1 term throughout the weekend. So what does that tell you? We are the mainstream media. We are the American people. And it's a tiny click through intimidation and through posing. They just get up there and pose like they're officials. They just put a crown on their head and say, everybody's got to bow down to us. We're the ruling class. And if you don't want government health care, if you don't want open borders, if you don't want your life run by Washington, itself run by offshore banks, you're a racist. But that political correctness doesn't work anymore. And so the system is in free fall. But I warn you. In fact, guys, reprint me the Financial Times of London. Clinton official says Obama needs new Oklahoma City or 9/11. I want to read that exact quote when we come back from the break. Because now you have all these White House officials and former Clinton people saying, if Obama doesn't have a massive terror attack, he's politically finished. That's not Alex Jones saying that. Of course, I've been saying the last year, Obama's approval rating would drop to the lowest in history. It's now done that. Bigger they are, the harder they fall. As soon as he didn't deliver free houses, free cars, milk and honey, it's now come out that his health care bill, written by the insurance companies, owned by the big central banks, raises your taxes, cuts the Medicare and Medicaid, doesn't cover pre-existing conditions. All these people are saying, where's my free goodies? It was a tax increase. Obama's now admitted last week in the Washington Post, it is a tax increase. The bill creates a federal index of how much you weigh and tracks everything you're doing. It has nothing to do with giving you a free lunch. You think these big, ruthless central banks that have bankrupted hundreds of third world and old world nations in the last 100 years, do you think they want to give you something for free? No, they want to run your life. But I go back to the main issue. It is unprecedented. Unprecedented to see Glenn Beck getting more and more hardcore. And I've been a critic when he was attacking Ron Paul and saying there's no FEMA camps, things like that. The point is, I've been analyzing and watching him, and I got to say, he's really getting good. I'm just here to tell the truth. He's not perfect, and I don't trust him. I know he's a political hack. Limbaugh is something entirely different. Limbaugh's even been linking to PrisonPlanet.com stories, folks. So is the Drudge Report. Things are changing, and Limbaugh spelled it out why he's going all the way now and telling the truth. And I'll tell you what he said when we come back. And I've got the transcript again. It's linked up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Kurt Nemo's got a big boil-down story that's up on Infowars.com right now that breaks all this down and links to it. We'll tell you about it when we come back. This is really good news.